Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We're brought to you today by Russell and Associates, and as always, we have head coach Tom Sawyer to talk about last week's game. And you were traveling up to Augustana this past weekend. Really, before I say anything, your thoughts on the game. It was a 38-20 loss to Augustana.
Yeah, it was one of those games where the momentum switched back and forth a couple different times, and we just couldn't maintain it. I really thought that right before half, we had scored twice, got it to a three-point game, and in halftime, in the locker room, there was not one person that didn't think we were going to win the football game. And it was like, you took a pin in a balloon and just took the air out of it. We went 3 and out, they scored, happened to got a short punt, they score, and all of a sudden it was like we got deflated. And it was really sad because, the opportunity we had there really played out at the end because they were #1 team in the region. They were leading the South Division. A win there, plus Wayne State got beat. I mean, everything that we had hoped for kind of played out, but we just couldn't get over that hump. Because once you give that kind of a team that kind of field position and that momentum, it's really hard to get it back because they're a good football team. But our guys played their tails off. It was a fun last road trip for our guys. All of that was really great. Obviously, we're just disappointed that we missed out on an opportunity that was right in front of us.
You kind of brought it up, but let's talk a little bit more about what happened in that second half, because it was kind of the same thing that happened in the first half. Augustana jumps out to a lead. They score some points. First half, you come back. As you said, you were just trailing by 3 at halftime, and then in the second half, there they go again. They put up a couple drives and get some touchdowns. So what was the difference in that second half that they were able to score?
It was field position, and it was really, the game. We knew the game was changing because the wind was really a factor later in the game. We started out, it was beautiful, a little bit of wind, like you always get out there, but we deferred to the second half. So we got the ball in the first half and went down, and things were kind of back and forth there, and then we came back into the second quarter. Well, we got into the second quarter, the wind completely switched. So we had the wind in the first quarter and the second quarter. And then we came back out, and it was picked up maybe 15 to 20 mile an hour gusts, and then we were going into it, and we went 3 and out on the first drive, and we had a punt that we sprint out kind of on our punt to get it on the ground. He popped it up, and they got the ball at like the 40-yard line. So that momentum was boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden they're in the end zone, and it was like that. Then we had to do it again because that wind really made a factor. So by the time it flipped over, and we got the win, we just had such a deficit that we just couldn't go back, and then we had a couple turnovers that ended up hurting our drives. But it was too little too late at that time. We had to get out of the third quarter, into the wind, chew some clock up, and we went 3 and out twice in a row.
And then after that, I mean, what was the thought going into the fourth quarter? Because obviously you had made a comeback once in the game. Did you think you could do it again in the fourth?
Absolutely. I thought for sure. The defense was playing well, and we got the ball back in the fourth, and we went into a 2-minute offense, and we went right down and scored. I mean, it wasn't that we couldn't do it. We just didn't do it often enough. And so it was really like it was kind of an all or nothing thing. We just never really got the offensive motion going at a consecutive pace. And once we got going, we did score again. We came back down, and we missed on one on fourth down, and again, that was those opportunities that turned that into. I mean, we were 2 for 10 or something in third down, so we just couldn't keep the drives alive, and we had to keep their offense off the field because they're prolific enough to be able to manage the clock and handle it and put it away. They got the ball at the 7-minute mark, and we didn't hardly touch it again. So those good teams can control the ball, and they kept getting first down. So we weren't converting third downs, and they converted the ones in the third quarter and the fourth quarter that were really costly. I mean, I'm talking about time on the clock.
Yeah, and I don't like to continually bring this up, but it's always there. And I'm going to say it's penalties. 12 penalties for 125 yards. That had to factor in a little bit. It's obviously probably not the reason why you lost, but I mean, about that. That's got to be part of the snowball effect.
For sure, it's a contributing factor. I mean, when we were on a short field, one time they had a 45-yard drive, and 30 of it came from 2 penalties. So they only had to gain 15 yards to get in the end zone. So you think about how that affected. So at one time we were defensively we had these penalties going on, and offensively we couldn't get a third down. So it was a bad combination. We couldn't get out of it. And where other games we've been able to get out of that and get the momentum back and secure that again. and we just couldn't. And that's where the penalties really come and haunt you. You can have penalties if you can survive them, but in this case, those penalties that we had, the 2 personal fouls, one was a face mask, one was a late hit out of bounds on the same drive, and then they go in and score, and then we're playing on a short field again. So that's it kills you. It really does. And so, yeah, both opportunities, offense, defense, and special teams, all at the same time, just couldn't get over the hump and get that momentum back for us for about a 6 or 7 minute period, and that's what put the game away.
All right, let's talk about some positives then. You said the defense played really well. Who are some of the top players you think on defense this
Well,
week?
one of our guests here today, Darius Manuel, played really, really well. Cola Liberty played fantastic. Carter Duxbury again played great. They were blocking him. He's leading the league in sacks, and they had 2 people on him almost every snap. Either the back was over there, the tight end was there, or something. So that's one respectful. I think they played really well. Mitch Snitker played pretty well, had a pick, and did a nice job. And AJ did, like we talked about last week, had another good game where he locked down the guys pretty well. So overall, defensively, I think they played well. You kind of forget about Devon and Clay Scheffner sometimes because you just expect that, but they also played well. So overall, the defense played pretty well. We just couldn't get away from them playing on short field. Let's
highlight Carter Duxbury a little bit. You talked about him leading the league in sacks, 8.5 sacks, I believe, this season. Talk about his play this year.
Well, he's healthy. It's kind of the first time in his career, and he's been here 5 or 6 years, and he's still got eligibility left. But here's a guy that when he's healthy, he's a big, strong farm kid. He's athletic, and people around the community just haven't seen him because he's not played for like 4 years, and he's overcome multiple injuries, and now he's healthy. Now he's the best in the league. So it's really fun. I'm happy for him and his family that he get a chance to enjoy that on the latter part of his career.
All right, offensively, let's talk a little bit about some of the positives that you saw this week. Well, actually, let me go back to a negative first. Owen Burke was sacked 4 times during the game. Obviously, it's tough to continue drives if you have the sacks.
Yeah, and it was, and everybody played a role in that. A lot of times the offensive line always gets blamed for it, but our backs gave up a sack. Tight end gave up a sack. He cost himself 2 of them. Or one of them, and one was just on an O-line, just a missed assignment, and they let the guy come free and just hit him right in the face. So, usually he's responsible for his own protection on how he aligns it, and so he was part of that responsibility. But yeah, and he's been hurt too. He's been in a boot for 4 weeks, and so he comes out on game day and gives a great effort. But it's hard when you got to move around and people are buzzing the tower, and we're getting pressured a lot, and that's the result of it. But overall, he played pretty well. We threw a pick late in the game and that kind of stuff. But he's battling, and kids are doing what they can to stop that rush. And for the most part, we did okay.
All right, I had to get that out of the way because that was obviously a factor. But
Sure.
Positives on offense heading into Upper Iowa this week. What are some of the things you can build on that you saw this week against Augustana?
Still we got some explosive kids offensively. J. Michael Young had his second touchdown now, and he took off for about a 50-some yard touchdown, whatever, 40-some yard touchdown. That was really fun, and the protection was great. Owen had time, put it on his hands, and he ran it in on just a really simple little crossing route. And so you start to see things like that, and then Jake Blue doing his thing. He got in the end zone again, and Javian Roebuck back healthy again. That's a huge deal for us, and he got another touchdown on the year. So our stars, when they're healthy, are as good as anybody in the league. We've just been kind of going from week to week to see who that's going to be. But those guys really showed up in this game, and it was fun to watch.
And then, too, on special teams, it seemed like Augustana wanted to get away from Jake Blue. But when they do that, then they have to face Darrell Williams, and that's another good weapon to have back there.
Yeah, when they have a 20-mile-an-hour wind, but I don't want to make it more than it is, but it was windy. And they're kicking with the wind, and they squib it because they don't want Jake Blue. That's the ultimate respect. But Darrell Williams is equally as talented, and that showed up in the statistics. And A.J. Lacey also, we've been moving those guys around. We have 3 return guys back there, so we're trying to see where they're going to chip it. And so it was kind of a cat and mouse game on where they're going to get it. But at the end of the day, we're getting the ball at like the 40-yard line. So, all of that shuffling around, don't let Jake touch it, it helps the offense to get the drive started.
All right, we need to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll get the player perspective. Javian Roebuck is up first. That's right after this.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk a little offense with JV and Roebuck. Thanks for joining us here today. I want to ask you a little bit about, kind of battling back, because obviously the last time that Winona State played in 2019, you got hurt early on and had to miss a lot of the season. What was it like to battle back that season, have the COVID year, and now come back this year to play hopefully a little bit more healthy?
It was really interesting, man. Going through the whole rehab process with the dislocated elbow and trying to get back, and then just being around the guys, everything. So that was a positive. But for the most part, honestly, it's tough mentally, when you're not playing and you get to see everybody else do what you love to do. But when you're surrounded with a good coaching staff and brothers on the team, it's easy to kind of get over that, you know what I mean? Because even though you're not playing, you're still a part of it. You're still talking to the guys on the sideline, still making sure everybody's head in it. So it has its ups and downs.
And along with that, you're a graduate student now, so it's kind of a tough decision to say, am I going to come back? Am I going to try to go to work and do something else here? But what was that decision then? How easy of a decision was it for you to come back to play football again?
To be honest, it was really easy. I love the game of football. I've been playing this game since I was 5, 6 years old. My family, we're a football family. My older brother plays football. My father plays football. Cousins, friends of the family. So coming back to play football and just go to school for school, I just see it as I get a chance to further my education, starting grad school, that's a huge accomplishment. A lot of people don't do that after they get their degree, and still, I can still play football and do it, so it's just too positive.
Looking back, as Justin said about being hurt, and then you come in this year and you're rolling and we get things going, and then you sprain your ankle pretty bad and you got to miss again, and now you're back again. How does that feel, even within the season, to now get some carries, get back in the end zone like you did last week?
Oh, it feels good, especially to be able to make plays for your team. You know what I mean? And you got so many guys on the team that have put so much time and effort into coming back, just like myself, and playing. And then, it's a great feeling. In all honesty, it's kind of hard to explain, but.
I was going to ask you also along that is now that you're back, we got 2 home games left. Your last 2 games as a Warrior. What does it mean to you to play at home here your last 2 games in college football?
Oh, it means a lot, man. It means a lot, especially because you get to embrace the fan base and all the people that you met in the community. So they all get to come and watch you and your teammates hopefully do their thing. So it means a lot, especially. It's kind of crazy because it's the last 2 games I had a lot of friends and family coming, and that's on top of it all. It's, it's the last 2 games of my career at Winona State, so it's just a lot.
I want to ask you about the running back crew or just the offense, because last week we had Tyler Zerpeli on. And we talked to him about going to train with you in Phoenix. How important is it to have that kind of friendship, that kind of family bond with all the different running backs and receivers?
Oh, you have to, because injuries happen. You might not be in a play or 2. Other backs are going to come in. So, just having that camaraderie where you could talk to each other about the positives and the negatives, and that only comes with chemistry. So, and being able to be comfortable with each other to have those easy and difficult conversations. But as a whole, being able to just come together, that's what Coach Sawyer and the coaching staff, they take pride in, especially as a group, but as an offense, as a defense, and as a team. That's what you want in your program.
And we heard that you ran Tyler pretty hard in Phoenix. Tell us a little bit about the workout you put him through.
Oh, so we went to this place called Verado, Victory Steps, and it's about 335 steps just straight up. And it's really tough on the legs. And then I told him, just make sure you bring water, make sure you stretch, you be really prepared, and eat your bananas, get your potassium in, because it's a grind, And like they always say, back home, strong legs gonna feed the wolf. So basically, it's just making sure that your legs and your lower body is good.
My last question then is Tyler said he didn't cry, but I need to know, did he cry after the workout?
No, he ain't crying.
Okay,
It was real tough on him. It was real tough on him.
And my last question, just briefly, is, you know, having family coming from Phoenix, how big a deal would that be?
Man, it's huge. Because a lot of my friends, family, this is going to be their first time actually coming to Minnesota to experience a game, to experience basically, like, and get a glimpse of, like, the lifestyle that I've been living over the years. It's totally different from being in Phoenix, Arizona, to coming to Winona, Minnesota, you know? So I think it's gonna be fun, but very interesting.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here today, and good luck the last 2 games of the season.
Thank you.
All right. And we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, Darius Manuel will join us right after this.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. We're now going to switch to defense and talk to Darius Manuel. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
You know, as Coach said, you know, you picked up a sack this week. You're second on the team in sacks with 4.5 sacks. Tell us a little bit about playing defense at the collegiate level and what it takes to bust through the line and get some sacks on the quarterback.
I mean, it's a lot different. You gotta definitely use techniques. Like you can't just, like Coach always be saying, you can't rush whole man. You gotta actually like look at what your person in front of you is doing, and you gotta, okay, well if he does this, like I could use this, or if he does this, like, oh, I might go this way. And I don't know. It's kind of, you gotta kind of use your head. It's not just, pass rushing without any guidance.
All right. I always kind of like to go backwards too and find out who you were before you came to Winona State. And tell us a little bit about your high school career in Iowa and what football meant to you growing up.
Football meant a lot to me growing up. I mean, around Des Moines, like my dad's pretty well known, and I don't know, I guess he was a pretty good football player. So everybody was, oh, you gonna live up to be, you gonna be your dad, and I was like, I don't know. And then as I got older, I was like, I'm gonna be better than my dad. And growing up, I was a running back, and then in high school, I switched to playing defensive line, and then I don't know, I just kind of enjoyed it more. I like playing defense. I don't know, hitting people instead of, getting hit, but that's how I thought about it.
I got to follow up on that before I let Coach Sawyer go in there. You're a redshirt freshman right now, but do you think you're a better player than your dad right now?
For sure.
For
sure.
I'm going to be getting an email about that in about a half hour. No, obviously we're very excited that, the way that you're playing, but you've been through a lot of development, a lot of body changes since you walked in the door. Why don't you tell a little bit about the transformation to where you started when you walked in to where the guy that's rushing the quarterback now?
When I came in, I was like 265, but it wasn't a very good 265. Then came through fall, came through spring, was 235 by the end of the year. Got back up to 250, sophomore year, injured my knee and my shoulder, went through that whole thing. And then this past summer, I put on 20 pounds so that I could play an interior D lineman instead of being an end like I was when I first came in. And I don't know, it's just, it wasn't necessarily the biggest change, but it was just more of a change that's like, oh, like, you just get there a lot quicker, or if you don't weigh enough, you're gonna get pushed off the line, like you gotta be a dog, So it's just little things like that make the difference.
You guys call yourself the Dog Pound, as a fun name, but one of the other guys that you're with is Cole Liberty. We talk a lot about him. As a 6th, 7th year guy, how has his influence made a difference in the way that you play?
Oh man, he's brought me along. I definitely can give a lot of thanks to that guy and give a lot of mentors. Like, he really helped me as a interior defensive lineman for sure. Because I was rushing from the edge and then being put down inside. I mean, I did play it in high school, but being put down inside at the collegiate level, I mean, I've never like gone against 6'6", 315 guys, you know. So I mean, he just gave me a bunch of new perspectives that I hadn't previously had before. And I give a lot of thanks to him for that.
You know, my last question then is just, you know, you've made some big plays and some big moments. We were talking about it kind of before, where in the biggest games you're showing up, and that's exciting for all of us. But going into the last 2 weeks, like I asked Javian, what do you have to do to even get better for this week against Upper Iowa, and then of course against Mankato, both at home?
Lock in on the film. Definitely get with the guys a lot more. I mean, talk with coach, break down film, see exactly what's going on, and where my foot needs to go, where my hands need to go, like are my pads too high.
Right.
So, and like I said before, it's just all the little things and bringing everything back home on a technical level.
Absolutely.
All right, last question I have for you then is you talk about what you still need to do these last 2 games. Past that, you've already gone through a lot of transformation. How do you get even better the next couple years that you're here?
Get bigger, stronger, faster. That's about it.
That's it. All right, well, thank you for joining us here today, and good luck the last 2 games of the season.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. We're going to talk about Upper Iowa, next week's opponent, right after this.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
Catch the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25. Brought to you by Russell and Associates. WSU head football coach Tom Sawyer will join me, Justin Barrientos, for an inside look at the Warrior football program and this year's season. Watch the Tom Sawyer Show Wednesday through Saturday at noon and Wednesday through Saturday at 6:30 p.m. and right before every Warrior home game on HBC TV 25. Brought to you by Russell and Associates. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Russell and Associates. Upper Iowa is this week, and we'll get to that in just a minute. You know, we're getting down towards the end here. We're going to save all the kind of platitudes and everything for next week's show. But I know that one of the things that's kind of special is that this weekend is Military Appreciation Weekend. Yep. And I know you had a big hand in getting that together. And I know in the past you've had like an inflatable tunnel that the guys have run through. You know, you have the color guard that comes out to midfield. I think in the past you had a motorcycle come out onto the field.
Yeah, I rode mine out there.
You rode yours out there, right. So tell me, what is it about this, to get this Military Appreciation Weekend, what does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, my dad was in the Army, so I grew up with that, and my dad was a really active member in the VFW and American Legion and all that stuff. So that's where I really got, you know, to be a part of it. My son-in-law was also in the service, so it's been in our family. But you know, from the coaching perspective and how much in the college football, I'll just use that part of it, but the college football seasons and how much gratitude they put towards the service members. You know, we couldn't do what we do without it, right? And they provided us the freedom to be able to do this and play a game as a profession for us as coaches. And it's just a chance for us to say thank you to the locals and people who watch the game and the parents of our players and all of our staff. So it's really just a big thank you. But you know, they're giving the ultimate sacrifice and those kind of things for us to play. It's a chance for college football together and our football team to just say thank you.
What is going on this weekend? Because I know that if you have a military ID, you can get in for free to the game this weekend.
Yeah, they're doing that. We'll have some things up at the tailgate area. There'll be a booth up there, and then also they'll recognize people that are at the game. and plus the getting in free 2-for-1 thing and all that. But it's a chance, and the color guard, you know, whether it's ROTC or I'm not sure who's doing it this week, but that's always a lot more impactful to our players to have people walk out there with the flag versus seeing it on a pole. Although it may mean the same, it's different when people walk out there, and we have our own students doing it sometimes, and that's really, it gives our players a perspective of how important it is. They're trying to get their college education. I'm talking about the ROTC kids. And we have one of our athletic trainers that's in the ROTC. So it kind of brings it all together where, the team of armed services and a team like football is very, very similar. And so it really crosses over well, and our kids understand that.
All right, so it's Upper Iowa this week, and you look on paper and you saw they were winless coming into this week, and then they knock off Wayne State, and it's an overtime game, 42-41, I think is the score. Obviously, you never overlook an opponent, but how much does that kind of change your thought of who Upper Iowa is and what they bring in this weekend, knowing that they knocked off Wayne State?
Well, it doesn't really change my mind much because they cost us a playoff game at Upper Iowa a few years ago, or I'm not sure what year that was, but they're tough at home for one, and then two, they have some offensive weapons, and they can push the ball up the field, and we've been watching them all year, kind of following them around the schedule.
Yeah.
So it was a surprise that they won the game at the end. Wayne State turned the ball over a couple times at wrong times, but they're not ever going to go away. So we know we got our hands full coming in here. Records don't mean anything in this league, to be honest with you, and that's what I was talking about kind of at the beginning, where with that win at Wayne State, it could have been different for us last week. But now it's a fight to just do everything we can to play the best football game we can this week, and Upper Iowa's going to be tough, and we're ready for it.
Okay. Injury-wise, how do you stack up this week?
Actually, better. Having JV in here is really fun. He's not in a boot, and so that's kind of fun. So he's back, and he means a lot to this offense, and so he'll be running full speed along with Noah Carlson and Dominic London. So it's a little different when you get a bigger back in there as determined as he is. Everybody else is good. We had one, Port came off hurt. I haven't seen him yet this week, but I think he's going to be okay. Sprained an elbow, so we'll see how bad that is, but a little bit beat up in the secondary. Hope to get Cam Gavin back this week. We'll see. And we'll know by Wednesday's practice whether he can go or not. He's been dealing with those ribs, but I think everybody else is ready to go that should be playing.
So you mentioned that Port was out, and Cam Gavin might come back. If you don't get him back, what does your secondary look like?
Yeah, we still have Johnny Schmidt back there. He's played a lot of football for us this year. Coach Mitch Snitker is the one running it back there. And then Kenneth Sanders played a bunch last week, and he's a senior, so he's been around a long time. So we still have some quality. Zach Gulbertson's another kid that can go back there and play. So we're pretty deep back there. So that helps. And knowing that you're going to put experience on the field instead of just running somebody out there that's a redshirt freshman or something. But we have enough talent back there that I feel okay with it.
Okay, and then you still have your luncheons coming up?
Yeah, luncheon's on Thursday. It's been fun. These two guys will be there again this week, and noon at the Riverport, and 2 more of those as well. So we're closing in on it pretty fast.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here this week, and enjoy your last couple of home games of the season. I
do have to say a shout out to your soccer team.
Yes.
With your wife's Cotter soccer team. So I wish them well up at the bank as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Minnehaha Academy. It's going to be a tough one on Thursday for them.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us here on the Tom Sawyer Show. We'll see you next week here on HBC TV 25.